What's up, everybody? Welcome to SJU Dune. There's a trailer. We're going to talk about it. Then we're going to talk a little bit about... This is a Spencer-themed episode, really. Borat 2 has apparently been completed and is screening for execs. Sad news, Venture Brothers got canceled. We're going to... a little in memoriam for Team Venture. And then we're going to answer some questions in the chat. So stick around and hang out for those. I'm joined by a couple of real Dune heads. Spencer J. Gilbert, Lon Harris, thank you guys for joining me.
Hey. Fear is the mind killer, Joe. When the fear is gone, only Lon and Spencer remain. Okay.
I don't know what that means, but we're going to get into it. But first, hey, another Fandom 5 trivia next Friday, September 18th. Link in the description to get more info. It's going to be about Disney. So if you're a mouse head, this one's for you. Yeah. Win some money.
And let's be clear, this is mainstream Disney, not many of its growing subsidiaries. This is not Star Wars or
this is pure D.
Yeah. I just wrote 100 chitty chitty bang bang questions. You're kidding.
They're all about ESPN Plus.
Yes. I wish knobs and broomsticks, you guys.
I wish we did one that was just chitty chitty bang bang, and we just like the 5 or like the 8 biggest Chitty Chitty Bang Bang fans in the world, just like square. Anyway,
questions of increasing difficulty about Herbie Goes Bananas. I thought we'd all agree. I thought that was the deal.
That was the assignment, guys. Let's talk Dune. Look, I need to admit a blind spot here. I've never read the book of Dune. I don't know why I just said it like that.
Wrote the book of Dune. It was Frank Herbert.
I've never had a reading from the book of Dune. And then I've sort of watched the movie 2 times. Sort of. So I need
slow shake of the head.
How dare you? Honestly,
it's my blind spot. My blind
King
spot
is wearing metal underpants. Have you not like what? How are you missing that?
So I need to. So obviously, for me, I just watched a trailer and I was like, "That's really neat." Hey, a sandworm. I know what that is. Jason Momoa doesn't have a beard. This looks cool. And David Bautista's an orc. So that looked cool. Explain to me the trailer. Was it good? Tell me. You guys are better than me.
So it was really good. I think good to great, in my humble opinion. For all you Dune heads out there, or aspiring Dune heads, not that I'm a master or anything, Lon, I think you're in the same page as me. We just read the book. I don't think that makes us lore masters of Dune, but we love the book. It's a classic.
It makes you better than me.
I've read the book and I've seen the Lynch film probably 3 or 4 times at this point. That is my level of Dune. And I've always meant to go read the other. There are like sequel books. It's a whole franchise.
Yeah.
I have never plunged that deeply into.
They expand a lot. They don't have too much in common with the first ones because there's like 1,000-year time jumps and stuff like that. But Dune, 1960 something's Dune is a sci-fi classic, and it's really, to oversimplify it, it's Game of Thrones on a desert planet with worms, because it is about these royal families, because it is an empire, and they're various dukes and duchesses and religious orders all vying for control over the resources, the spice melange, which is a super important resource in this spacefaring planet or society where
basically to travel between all of these worlds, you need this particular material that only comes from this one desert planet, Arrakis. So a lot of the like political machinations in this empire of planets concerns who controls Arrakis, because they basically sit at the center of power because nobody can move their spaceships around without spice.
Yeah. And to me, a super interesting thing about the world and the universe is Joe just really thoughtful, or did he freeze? I think he froze. But can we just see Joe's thoughtful face? Because it's fantastic.
Well, I was explaining Dune to it because it's helpful. You know, it's like, oh, look how engaged he is. I'm going to tell him about melange.
So yeah, we could just talk Dune while he's frozen.
I mean, every time I try to tell people about the Bene Gesserit, they kind of drift off. But
this is
Joe
the look.
Is wrapped with
this
attention.
Is the look that my wife gets when I try to talk to her about Dune. So yeah, the world is so interesting because I think like long in the past they had artificial intelligence and computers, but they got out of control, and they were it's like a computerless world. So they've kind of used different kinds of bioengineering and drugs and stuff like that to enhance human beings' mental capacities. There's like people called mentats that are basically living computers, and you need the spice melange to be able to hold in your brain what's necessary to navigate a starship and stuff like that. So it is sci-fi, but it's like a very human, ecological sci-fi. It's not about robots and laser swords and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
You guys say some more stuff about Dune?
We did.
Cool.
A lot. It was really good and super helpful.
Did you guys sing the theme song?
Dune, Dune, Dune. Let me hear you say whale. We can talk about the trailer.
In the early aughts, you know.
My vote is also Dune, man.
Again, though, yeah. Don't sidetrack this with some Soundgarden.
All right, sorry. Let's talk trailer. So, look, without a lot of knowledge of the source material that you guys just covered eloquently, by the way, let me just, well done. It actually broke my connection. It was so good. I thought it looked really cool and atmospheric and kind of weird, and Zendaya's eyes are very, very blue. And I'm in. But I'd love to hear y'all's reactions since you guys have a little more knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love and like that Villeneuve brings to a lot of his movies that he's really good at in particular, I think, is like the scale. Like, he's good at making things that need to feel huge and epic, like Arrival, when they first go onto the alien ship and there's that moment where like gravity shifts and everybody like attaches to the ship. Or even like Sicario with those overhead shots of the border. Like there's a sense of grandeur, and Blade Runner obviously throughout to a lot of his stuff. And that's what Dune needs, because it's like on the scale of planets, you know? Like, I mean, it's that large of a story, and like whole tribes and these huge worms. And I think that it really looks like it's going to be a huge widescreen epic kind of movie, which is exactly what I want out of a big Dune film.
Yeah, and it looks, I think this is important because, as I was saying when Joe was listening so intently, is that this is like a story about ecology and the natural world of this planet and living in balance with it, that they shot on almost entirely real locations. I think I saw Timmy say that there were only 2 green screen scenes with him in the entire movie. So this is, and you can see that it comes across. It's like, oh, they are where they are, and I think that is perfectly suited to a film like this.
Yeah, I mean, also just the cast is so good and deep, and like all of these roles feel like it's not only just like, well, that's the perfect person for that part, but like that's an interesting, like Momoa is a really interesting choice for Duncan, and like like Batista, like Zendaya. I think a lot of those choices are just like unique to this and like thoughtful, and like I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. And it's just, yeah, there's so many great people. Rebecca Ferguson is a great choice, and like I'm just excited to see that too. Like, I feel like there's a lot of the roster goes really deep in this movie.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of interesting little supporting roles. I
loved that, we got reinforced again, that when you need a guy to dramatically from the shadows say kill them all, you hire Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh man,
yes,
such a great choice for Harkonnen. Like, exactly right, but also not the most obvious, like, over the top villain guy.
Yeah. How are you guys on, designs and, do you call these updated designs based on a Lynch movie that's ages old that not a lot of people watched? Like, I
don't know. I mean, it's pretty muted, I guess. I think that it looks fantastic. I think the sandworm is incredible. If we do some worm talk briefly.
Let's do some worm talk. Actually, chat, Adam Holbert said thoughts on the sandworm design. It looks like a giant hairy hole.
Yes, as it should.
Hey,
and
we're back, I think. I don't know, man. Crap happens. Worm talk. Go.
Dune, it's too powerful. Yeah, were we talking worms? Is that where we were?
The spice must flow. This is why. This is exactly why. Now you understand.
Yeah, look at that big old butthole. Yeah, that thing's huge.
Now that
is huge.
That's the kind of worm that swallows you into an underground cave in Final Fantasy V. Go ahead. That's my country.
I mean, it does. It's got to purposefully look like a butthole. Like that. At some point in the pre-production, somebody was like, "Denis, this looks like a butthole," and he was like, "Yes, of course."
But with teeth. Something I wanted to just a cautionary note that I'll throw out there for the trailer is this is they're endgaming us. They're Infinity War endgaming us because the idea was always or for Denis the idea is hopefully that they'll make 2 movies.
Okay,
this is not the entire book of Dune. The assumption, like Warner Bros. Said, okay, like we'll make it into 2 movies. The second one isn't greenlit. They've said they would do it, but and I know that if this completely flops, we'll never see the end of Dune.
This Dune 2 might only happen after we get Blade Runner 2050.
Yeah.
Yeah. His track record with these huge sci-fi reboot adaptations, not amazing.
So go see Dune. Go pay for Dune.
Yeah. Go see Dune so that we get Tune.
Yeah, Tune.
It'll be Dune, but the U will be like turned and made to look like a 2.
Yeah. So I think that I'm concerned for the people who see this. Let's just say who are big Zendaya stans who are going to feel like they didn't get their money's worth of Zendaya. If I have a sense of, there's a part in the book where it's like, this is not spoiling anything, but there's a moment in the book where it's like, years later, we reconvene with our heroes. And I have a feeling
that's the split. As to whether he's doing like a straight up linear, because it does seem like it's very different. And like, a lot of the actors would only be in the first movie as kind of like teasers for their roles in the second half.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know, maybe he's going to jump around or something. He might have an idea about how to do this so it's not such a sudden jump and like maybe we'll get to tell it and maybe we won't. But I don't know.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the trailer, boys?
So many thoughts. Yeah. So the music is interesting. I thought this. I thought it was cool.
Like the slowed down pop like song everybody knows, but like moody now in a trailer. I thought Brain Damage worked really well.
Yeah, I thought it was such a weird choice that it stood out, as opposed to me going like, "Here we go." Like this was such an odd choice that it really worked. I really liked that.
And if you didn't like it, Hans Zimmer's doing the score, so. I don't think the whole thing is going to be Pink Floyd covers.
Yeah, no, it's not like, I mean, I think this is the one I've liked the most since the I Got 5 on It trailer for Us, which was, I think, the last time I was like, oh, this song? This is interesting.
Sadly, I really like the Ready Player One Pure Imagination cover, which did not live up to the movie.
No, it did not.
Quite a lack of imagination. But yeah, this is cool, man. We're living in a real golden age, and I think thank Game of Thrones for, if nothing else, people buying up every like legendary sci-fi and fantasy property and trying to adapt these huge things. We're getting a huge Dune movies maybe. We're getting a Foundation series. We're getting the Kingkiller Chronicles. Like we're getting
Wheel of Time. We're getting more Lord of the Rings.
And it's like and projects that are taking it like seriously. Like they're not being forced to just be action movies or be spectacle. Like they're really going to the source material and trying to like make this real story. And like that's what feels kind of new. Because even in the 80s, like Lynch was getting a lot of pressure to just like make it like Star Wars and focus on action and like put Sting in it, and like I feel like like we're approaching these projects sort of on their own terms more in 2020, which is really refreshing.
Yeah, and from people who appear to love the material. I mean, there was a Q&A with the cast and crew, and like if nothing else comes from it, Denis Villeneuve loves Dune. He absolutely loves Dune. He calls it like a something like a nightmare he couldn't wake up from, or something like that, where it's like something that he's never been able to shake his entire life. He's always been thinking about this story in this movie.
Every time I close my eyes, the butthole
grows larger and larger.
Yeah.
And also Oscar Isaac made fun of Josh Brolin a lot, and it was hilarious. He said, I wrote it down. He said, no set piece, no X-Wing, no Millennium Falcon could compare to the sheer scale of Josh Brolin's head. It really made me feel like I was on an alien planet. So a little bit of humor for an otherwise pretty serious movie.
Ticket bought on that alone. Lon, any closing Dune thoughts?
I mean, one thing I saw a few times, like on social media and stuff, is people calling it like dour or humorless, like another super serious dour sci-fi movie. And it's like, I do hate to break it to you all, but yeah, like Dune is not this is like, it's just not going to be that kind of sci-fi. And like, it is very serious, and it is sort of grim, and it is like that kind of story, which I love. I love that about it. And I love that they're taking it seriously. But yeah, like I do worry a little bit that this is going to be a little, they're selling it as a mainstream big studio sci-fi movie, but like it's a weird property, man. Like
there aren't going to be a lot of quips.
Yeah, I hope people are ready to like give themselves over to it, because I fear we could be in another Blade Runner situation where it's like a brilliant movie that just goes unloved in its time because it's just difficult.
Yeah. Difficult like this episode of SJU, because we lost Joe again.
Well, at least the stream is still going.
Yeah,
we'll get
for
Joe
now.
back.
One
there
can
we
hope.
go.
I don't know, man.
Hey, buddy. So worms, right? That's where we were at. Jump in.
Oh yeah, no. Hey.
There we go. Thank you.
The back half of the trailer where they use that slowed down version of Pony by Genuine.
Oh my God, nobody's done that one yet. You shouldn't have said that on a live stream. Hold on to that.
You're done. Just
like you want it.
yeah, with just like the huge. That's the evolution of the Brahm. That's the evolution of the Brahm is the pony base.
Oh my God, I could see that trailer in my head. That's perfect.
I don't know what the movie is, but I can definitely see.
It's I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's like a all black ensemble Western.
Oh, okay.
It's like a posse reboot. That's where you put Genuine's up.
Okay. Yep.
Sold.
I'm 100% listening.
Idris Elba's in there, probably, you know.
Well, hey, thank you guys for watching, subscribing, listening to our Dune songs. We're doing last week we dared to let some of our staff members take a vacation, which means we did not do an honest trailer commentaries for the boys. We're going to do that this Friday, because we know people really want to see it. So join us on Friday. We're going to do our honest commentary for that then. And then, again, the next Fandom 5 is next Friday, the 18th. There's a link in the description. And that one's going to be just like pure Disney. I think it's focusing a little more like post-Renaissance, or like Aladdin, Your Beauty and the Beast, that kind of thing.
If I can talk about it, like because I am writing the questions in all seriousness.
Oh, yes, you did.
You are. Well, I mean, they're in process right now. But yes, you are correct. We're sort of focusing on Disney princesses, the 90s, and a little after Disney Renaissance. Like, I'm going to kind of zero, not exclusively, but like I'm going to kind of zero in there. So if you're planning to bone up, maybe skip Fox and the Hound and focus your efforts on like Hercules, is what I would say.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, I've got a link in the description below to RSVP for that one. It's going to be super fun. Make sure you show up. Guys, it's time to talk about one person. And that person is my wife, Borat. Got a second Borat, boys. It's filmed. It's made. It's apparently screened.
Yeah.
Before I gauge your excitement level, especially you, Spencer, look at you just smiling over there, not a care in the world. Is this going to be an oh no or a yay? Is this going to be like a Zoolander 2 or the Godfather 2 of comedy sequels?
Look, there's always a Zoolander 2 potential when you revisit a classic comedic character. Jokes are never funny the second time around. But Sasha SBC, he's had some ups and downs since Bruno. Like I didn't love the Dictator or Grimsby, but I think that he's, what's that show called? Who is
America?
Who is America? Yeah. Who is America was classic. Who is America was as good as anything he's made in his entire career. He's still able to go undercover and just absolutely destroy people with their own words. And I see no reason why he couldn't be secretly doing that with Borat again, especially since the premise is Borat is going undercover as somebody else. So
Borat is convinced that he's so famous because of his previous movie that he can't go out in public as Borat. So he will be, it's like Borat playing characters now.
I mean, it's honestly pretty genius because there's no way you can do just like a straight up Borat walking around sequel. Like it's so
people are kind of on to Borat now. Yeah. That's more like a Poirot than a Borat.
The closest they had. Sorry,
I'd put it on another filter, but I'm worried it would be too much for my connection. No, they just kicked me out. I'm interested to see this one because I'm wondering if it'll hit a little differently. Like, I look back at the Borat phenomenon, and I remember, because I was in college, and I, like, the amount of just, like, white frat guys who I'm pretty sure, who, A, were either my wife, or I'm pretty sure were just really excited they got to sing Throw the Jew Down the Well with no consequences. Like... Hey, so I'm just curious about how this one's going to be framed or how the humor's going to hit. Or
I mean, there were a few months ago, there were a few like incidents with Sacha Baron Cohen, and people assumed he was shooting the second season of that Showtime show. Like he showed up at some like alt-right conservative thing and like performed another crazy song on stage.
Yeah, they chased him to a van.
Yeah, right. So I feel like he's picking his targets wisely once again, and it'll be, I mean, he certainly did in Who is America, like, you know, he went after the kinds of people you sort of would want to see him go after today, as opposed to when he was sort of just taking down like frat boys and dumb racists and like 20,000.
Well, I think that was the interesting thing to me, though, about the original Borat is I don't know that like the point of what he was doing hit with all of the people that like loved it.
Oh,
I think,
definitely not. I think
there's like a Venn diagram between them and people who are like, well, you can't make Blazing Saddles anymore, like because
I think like when you get that big, it's just once it becomes for everybody. Like like a lot of people are getting it, but a lot of people are just like not get. You know, it's like Rick and Morty. Like it's not that everybody who likes the show doesn't get it. It's just like so many people like it that you've got a chunk of them who don't get it. You know, and I think Borat just became such a juggernaut that like, inevitably it's sort of like just some people just liked that he was like a funny foreign guy with like a crazy voice.
Which is funny.
Sure. Yeah, that's part of the joke for sure. Definitely.
Spencer, how happy are you that there's going to be more Borat?
So happy. I mean, well, look, we haven't seen anything. But again, going back to Who is America, like his ability to draw out and hang idiots with their own rope is just, it's unparalleled. Nobody in the history of comedy's been able to do that the way he has. He just has a way of disarming people by appearing so dumb and appearing so earnest that they then become more earnest themselves and reveal like the true depths of their soul even though they know there's a camera on them. So that's something that, look, it's not going to like change anybody's mind. It's not going to like reveal anybody to be a bad person that you didn't already think was that way. But he just does it. It's so funny to watch. If you haven't seen that show, I think it's required viewing right now.
No, strong rec. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's fit. The show is really great, and it like I think after years of disappointing, because I thought Bruno too, as much as a fan of that character from the old Ali G show, I was. That movie's kind of disappointing too. And after a string of them, I was sort of like, maybe he's kind of lost the thread. But then Who is America was fantastic. And like, I'm back on board.
Right on, boys. Well, hey, let's pour one out for a moment for Team Venture, and then we'll answer some questions from y'all in chat. Doc Hammer and Jackson Public acknowledged on Twitter that the show was canceled a few months ago while they were writing what would become season 8. And then Adult Swim sort of responded in a weird way where they were kind of like, no, we're working with you guys to like try to continue to figure out how to tell the story. It was kind of a weird back and forth.
I think it's the HBO Max thing is what's called like now Variety or Hollywood Reporter. One of them came out with like there are talks continuing about maybe just moving it over to HBO Max and keep so some of the Adult Swim people would probably still be like producing, and that's why it wouldn't be like a complete. I think they're kind of debating the semantics of that. Like, if it moves from Adult Swim to HBO Max, is it canceled or is it just like finding a new home or whatever?
Yeah. I can't imagine a world where a TNT Wayland Yutani like wouldn't push to end Venture Brothers on HBO Max when everyone is so desperate for little jewels on the crown for their streaming service. It's a hugely popular show. Your Adult Swim section on your service kind of sucks. Like it's.
They did just get C-Lab, so
I mean, they
they're
did.
working on it.
They did? Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, C-Lab is like new, like last week now.
All right, I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm on
They
it.
do, but like all their little subsections, like I love a lot of the stuff they've been making, but so many of the little subsections feel like Columbia House samplers, where they're like, you can get 4 Adult Swim shows for a penny a piece if you sign up for HBO Max.
Sensing a lot of 12-ounce mouse hostility. I don't know where this is coming from.
But so I can't imagine a world where they don't really push for that deal.
I think to me it seems like an obvious. Well, like 8 seasons, like it's been for 7 seasons. Like obviously there's an audience. Obviously there's an interest. You need to drive more eyeballs to this service anyway. Why would you turn away this? Like, because it's not only like a long running cartoon, but like this franchise that people are so like emotionally connected to now. Like there's storylines and characters that have spread through the whole thing. Like it's an ongoing narrative. Like people want to see it at least finished.
And when are we going to get Venture Brothers as part of the narrative? It's always been part of the story because it hasn't been like 7 seasons in 7 years. It's been 7 seasons in almost 20.
Close to 20 years. Yeah.
So I feel like this show will get a lifeline. I hope it'll get a lifeline, and and they'll be able to conclude the story. If not, keep going if they want to.
Yeah. At least wrap up. Okay, and this is just a classic show. Another required viewing recommendation, I think.
And it's funny because it's more relevant now. Like when it started, 60s pulp space age superhero tropes were like just starting to really enter pop culture mainstream. And today, all of those things are a lot more popular than they were when the show started. Like it seems obvious that this is a show that should continue.
Yeah, it's like it is kind of interesting because, and no shade at these shows, and not to say that only one show is allowed to deconstruct, but like because The Boys is I'm really enjoying it. It's a really fun, fantastic show. And I know like Harley Quinn and Doom Patrol and all these other shows are really like trying to deconstruct a lot of this stuff. But I mean, Venture Brothers has been making these jokes since 2002 with the Guild and
henchmen, like professional henchmen, and
And Venture Brothers, like it was always able to transcend or grow beyond just being parody and like just making jokes about Johnny Quest and stuff like that. Like it created its own mythos and its own fully fleshed out characters. It's like if there were 17 scary movies, but like each one got better and more developed and had less to say about other scary movies as time went on.
I mean, at this point, it's such a fleshed out world. It would just be a shame for it to just kind of end midstream, just because like broadcast TV is sort of over. Like it doesn't feel like that should be its time.
It's animation. That's the only thing we can make right now anymore. Just pencils up.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they get to finish it. No other show has ever made me, this is season 2 specifically, but when season 2 premiered, I was like, no other show will ever top that intro. That was the best cold open I've ever seen for a show, the Everybody's Free montage. And then immediately the next episode was Mars that topped it.
Yeah.
Mars is probably still the best cold open I've ever seen for a television show. Just so good, and I really hope they get to wrap this sucker up.
Go Team Venture.
Go Team Venture. Hey, you guys want to answer some questions?
Sure.
Ian Roth asks, red or blue?
Pill?
Yeah, is this like a men's rights thing?
Yeah, Ian, are we
taking are we staying in Wonderland, or are we finding out how deep the rabbit hole goes? Is that
pass.
I'll speedball it. I'll mush them up together.
I mean, blue, right? Blue's the answer.
Purple, right?
Who would want to be in Zion with all those plugs all over you at some rave? I want to go eat a steak with Cypher.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, baby.
Honestly, yeah.
Joey Pants is right. He was right all along. The other thing doesn't even make sense.
Saket Sharma asks, after Blade Runner 2050 and Dune, which high-end sci-fi property do you want to see on the big screen, even if it flops real hard? There's a lot of just like really.
Yeah, I have one, and the Amazon was going to do it, and the project got put into turnaround recently. Ian Banks has a series
God damn it!
of novels
That was going to be mine. The culture novels
called The Culture, and they were going. It was like good to go. Like they had the first one. Consider Phlebas was like greenlit by Amazon, and they were going to make it, and then they just backed out. Personally, I think there's a novel in the series called Player of Games.
Player of Games is great. Yeah,
the best one to start with because it's like. Okay. It's its own self-contained story that has like little teases of what the culture is all about.
I think the culture series lends itself more than anything to an anthology show of not necessarily.
And they're all in the same franchise, and it would rule. But I agree, like a weekly HBO Max show or something would be great.
Yeah, it feels of any of them almost unfilmable. There's like an entire book. Is it called like Exegesis or something? One of them's almost entirely spaceships talking to each other.
Yes. oh no, it is crazy. And like, it would be one of those like Game of Thrones where like the audience is going to spend the first part just like downloading all of this information about the world. But it's so cool. And there's so many just like weird, interesting ideas that aren't even like the focal point of the books. Like everybody can just switch your gender. Like you can just decide at like 50, like I'd like to be a woman for a few years. And it's just like normal and like a thing people do. And then you can have a kid and then you can go back to be a man or whatever.
I mean, the basic world, which you don't see very often, is like, it's like you said, a utopia. Humanity are basically like the fleas on the back of these hyper intelligent artificial AIs that are just called minds. And they cater to our every need with like barely an afterthought. And then this linked I don't know if it's multi-galaxy or just one galaxy.
I want to say it is, but I know it's like it could just be all in one galaxy and it's just interplanetary. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, and most of the stories take place on the edge of the culture, which is this like beyond Star Trek utopia and the civilizations that haven't.
It's like the Super Federation or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that that's a pretty solid answer.
Oh, it'd be fun. I've been thinking about this for years, and it is like the perfect unadapted thing that's just sitting there waiting for someone to pick it up.
Yeah.
It also definitely sounds like it'll flop, but it also sounds like something.
I think as a TV show, if you gave people time, like Game of Thrones style, you could like draw them in. Movies it's a tough sell, but I would like to see it.
Well, boys, let's close out with a pretty important discussion. This is from Raymond Velasquez. He asks, what's the best cereal?
Ooh, good question. Are we talking like, I have two answers for your healthier cereal.
Yeah, let's explore.
I think for weekends, for me, it's Lucky Charms or bust. I'm a charmsman. my father was a charmsman and his father was a charmsman. But day to day, I think you can't beat, is it Honey Clusters of Oats? There's always like every grocery store has their own like riff on it.
Yeah. I know what you mean by Honey Clusters of Oats. Sure.
Yeah. Which are tasty.
Yeah.
They're good. I feel like for everyday, like the great utilitarian, like everyday cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios. Because you get like, I think Cheerios are very good, but regular Cheerios, a little bland. You want a little more flavor. Honey Nut Cheerios, like the right amount of sweetness. Those are my favorite.
They're apparently good for your heart.
I mean, that's what the bee says, but I don't trust it.
Tells us. Don't trust a bee. Sell more honey.
We're taking his honey. It's his.
Yeah. An important criteria, I think, is can you eat it dry or covered in milk? And there's only one answer there for me, and that's Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, great choice. Great choice.
Good. Probably my second or third place finisher, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, it's either in a bowl and delicious, or it's like you got a bunch of dried up pieces of churro, and and you're on the go.
My favorite, like, fun...
at the office. It was great when he was at the office.
Oh, yeah. The only good thing about The Office at Defy Media was that there was a cereal bar.
And rest in peace, French Toast Crunch.
Oh, yeah, French Toast Crunch. That was that was a nice little hybrid situation.
Also, rest in peace, Rice Krispie Treats cereal. I could do a whole thing on canceled cereal.
Rice Krispie Treats. That was the one with like the clumps. Yes, I remember that. Is that still on the market?
No, that's gone.
Pop-Tart cereal was there for a minute. That was good.
Huh.
Yeah, it just tasted like strawberry little Pop-Tarts.
It was mini Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, it was just like little mini Pop-Tart things.
Were they like filled with jam?
Gross.
I mean,
I feel like if you put a Pop-Tart in milk, it just kind of disintegrates.
I mean, maybe it's good and I just have to be sold harder on it. But
I mean, it was pure sugar and preservatives, but they flavored it well.
I was going to say, if you could eat Frosted Flakes every day and not immediately slip into a diabetic coma, I would do it because they're delicious. But that's too, like Honey Nut Cheerios is like lightly sugared. Yeah. Frosted Flakes is just like a pound of sugar per bowl.
Them there apple cinnamon Cheerios that existed for a while were pretty good.
Also really good. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Spencer, you mentioned canceled cereals earlier. What does a cereal have to do to get canceled?
I imagine it's a poor choice of mascot. That's probably what does it.
Remember, was it Golden Grams or was it there was one that just had a bear that beat people up. It wasn't Golden Grams. It was
that bear was friendly. Sugar Crisp, I think.
There's what was it, like Honey Smacks? But that was a frog.
That was a frog.
Yeah, there was a bear, and he would pull up his sleeve and then just punch people out of the woods. Wow. I mean, yeah, the Golden Crisp bear looks like he could throw down, but I'm not sure if that was it. I don't know. Let us know in the chat who punched. Okay, well, who's the best cereal mascot? Oh. Was it Captain Crunch by way of rank? No, because there aren't captains in the Navy. He's an admiral. False stolen valor. Captain if I have to give Cinnamon Toast Crunch a knock, it's the mascots, because I never liked the idea of these three old men just like bursting into your home to cook. It always just seemed very invasive to me. And also, you don't need three people to make cinnamon toast. It's like the easiest recipe in the world. That's why it's like they're up to something. I mean, like Snap, Crackle, Pop, they're just elves. They might need one another for support. But like three chefs... I'm going to get canceled because the Lucky Charms leprechaun is very offensive. He's right on. Yeah. He's right. I mean, honestly, how do you not go Tony the Tiger? I think it's obviously Tony the Tiger. That's voting Tony the Tiger. And then they also said that Sugar Bear is who you're talking about. Sugar Bear. Yeah. For Golden Crisp. Yeah. Which also kind of a blaxploitation name. Like that also just sounds like a character that Sugar Bear's like a pimp. Like Shaft beat the hell out of that guy. Yeah. I went to Tony the Tiger, voiced by Paul Frees, the same guy who's the ghost host in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. So like right there, Tony the Tiger's your winner. Okay, yeah, Tony the Tiger wins, and I agree with you. The leprechaun needs to get back on a red balloon and go back to the 90s. I'd just like to say that Frankenberry can get it. Frankenberry can't get it. Guys, I think that's where we're going to leave you. Frankenberry's thick, and he can get it. Let us know in the comments what other cereal mascots can get it. And let us know what you thought of Dune, Venture Brothers, all that good stuff. My wife. See you guys later. Bye.